How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. Today we have pretty obviously, it's kind of a pretty hot topic right now. We're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. Kind of give you my kind of feedback, reactions, and kind of opinion on a lot of the stuff that they previewed. Got a few different tabs pulled up here, obviously, and we're going to kind of go through some of this and give you some of my opinions here on some of the stuff that Nintendo released the other day on, I guess on April 2nd or something. But yeah, so we're gonna go over that, kind of give you my whole thoughts on this because it's a pretty, obviously a new thing. A lot of people are talking about it, good and bad. Pretty controversial things that came. It's pretty dual-sided here. There's good and there's a lot of good, a lot of bad here. Let's gonna get into this and kind of give you my thoughts on this real quick here. Don't have the video up just because I know Nintendo is really picky about stuff like this where I'm not entirely sure on the rules, but I know they don't particularly care for people using a lot of their content and stuff, so I didn't know if I'd really want to watch the whole like 4 minute press reveal and react to it and everything. I'm already taking a risk by having some of these tabs up, I'd assume, honestly, but I figured this would be a little safer, but we'll see. But yeah, so I just got some game release things, the actual console itself here. And yeah, I think we're just gonna go and kind of, I guess here's the video, but we're just gonna go through here and kind of hit some of the bigger picture items here. But yeah, so I think first of all, I'll just get the good out of the way because as is typical with a lot of these videos you're seeing, I have a lot more bad to say. Not necessarily quantity wise, but the quality of it. The good is right up until the end of this Nintendo Direct, where they kind of started announcing prices, which is a little foreshadowing there. This is one of the best like console showcases or premieres I've ever really seen any company do for really any console. It was fantastic. They had an amazing lineup of games that, all looked like bangers or remakes for the upscaled, Nintendo Switch 2 and its improved features and everything. The console itself looks great as well. It seems like an upgrade in nearly every way to the Nintendo Switch 2, with some new cool little gimmicks and features and stuff put in there. So everything looked good. I know I'm kind of glossing over this, but it's I can't emphasize as much the games, the console itself, everything, all the substance to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was really good. The games looked fantastic. The console itself, again, great console, got some meat and bones, and actually has some power behind this console as an upgrade. Has some new features, cool new design. It actually looks like physically looks pretty good, cool. I think I'm always a big, like a darker color kind of palette guy. The games look fantastic. Ton of great games, and they all look great. There's like the Breath of the Wild getting upscaled for the Nintendo Switch 2 and getting better graphics. And then the big hitter, obviously, being Mario Kart World, which is the new Mario Kart that is going to be launching with and bundling, as you can see here, with the Nintendo Switch 2. It's basically every platform has their own Mario Kart essentially. This is a new one. It looks fucking fantastic. It looks better physically, like graphically speaking. There's a lot of new features in here, like it's a free roam map and it's got a campaign. It's Mario Kart. It's gonna be fantastic. It looked fucking amazing. The games looked amazing. The console itself looked amazing. You can use these as mouses now. They got this little magnetic clipping thing, which I think looks okay. I don't know. We'll see how it lasts long term and everything there. Little new refreshed Pro controller. I mean, it looked great. Then they got Metroid. They got Zelda refresh here. I'm assuming there's gonna be a Zelda game and a Mario game coming for this console at some point. Hades, Split Factions coming to it. Donkey Kong Bonanza, another really big kind of launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2, another big game coming in with it. On top of Mario Kart World. Been a while since we've had a really big Donkey Kong game that looks really good. They've got fucking streaming camera, little gimmicky stuff like that, but still, it all looks great here. Um, the problem and kind of the meat and potatoes of this video and my reaction to it, as I've kind of hinted to, and you've kind of seen somewhat, at least with the console itself here, the prices. I have never seen a kind of press conference, if you want to call it that, but like gaming convention or press conference or console showcase go from so good to so, you could say, confusing, but really so bad so quickly. It was really something. It was a sight to behold, to be completely honest with you. I've never seen a company do a 180 like that and lose so much good faith and like momentum so quickly and utterly. And it all came down to when they announced the prices for a lot of this stuff. And it's not just the console, it's a lot of the games itself. And this is where a lot of the controversy with this direct lies, and this is where a lot of controversy with everything lies here. First off, let's just talk on the console itself. That's obviously the big thing here. It's the direct was entirely based around Nintendo Switch 2 as a console, essentially. So let's start with there. As you can see, the market standard retail price for the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 is essentially $450 USD. I'm assuming not including tax with that. But so that's kind of the first thing. There's a $500 version with Mario Kart World bundle. We'll get to Mario Kart World in a second here. That's actually not a terrible deal for all things considered. But $450 is a bit of a, it's a splash of cold water that woke you up there. If you remember back to the original Nintendo Switch launch, it was about $300. This has obviously done, $150 increase over the original Nintendo Switch launch, even $100 increase over the Nintendo Switch OLED launch. So it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow as a consumer and as a Nintendo fan and people looking to really try to get this console, because $450 is a bit much. I think $400, as what is $50 at this point? But I think $400 would have been a little more palatable to a lot of people, in my opinion. I think that would have been maybe a little bit better price point. I understand that the console, is more powerful. That's probably where some of that cost is coming from. Is it's a more powerful console than even the Switch OLED, which is the newest Switch that they actually have. And inflation has been a thing since the launch of the Switch or the Switch OLED. These are definitely things to consider here, but even so, what is essentially a kind of handheld mobile hybrid TV, setup console, it's not a PlayStation 5. It's not an Xbox Series X. It's not, the next gen of any of those consoles. It's not a PC. The power, while increased from the Switch, isn't so mind-blowing to warrant such a stark increase on its own. Maybe you could argue with inflation, it's kind of justifiable, but it's a bit much to swallow for kind of a mobile hybrid console here. On top of that, the Switch 2, it's just, I don't know, the price differential from 300 to 450 is just, it's a stark one, and it's increasing prices is kind of the trend of a lot of the controversy surrounding this entire kind of Nintendo Direct. And this was another price increase that seemed to put people off immediately. I feel you got the sense that they almost kind of understood that it wasn't a pleasant thing to announce. They didn't actually announce the price, I believe, during the live direct. They referred you to the website where you could go down here to two different editions here to find out the $500 to 450 price points on the Switch or the bundle. So I think even they understood that, it was a little unsavory of a price point and a price increase. And it's just, I don't know, it set the stage for what is losing a lot of goodwill and momentum that this conference had built up with a lot of the improvements this console made and a lot of the games that are coming to this console. On top of that, you have to remember, Nintendo with its consoles, it's not like they couldn't get lower. Nintendo is really the only, you talk about inflation, you talk about, more powerful console. Every other company in the world, whether it's Meta, whether it's Xbox, whether it's PlayStation, they lose money on their consoles. When they sell those headsets, when they sell those consoles, they are not selling them with some profit margin of like, oh, it costs this much to build and ship and get it to you. We're going to charge this, or we need to give some to like Target or something, so we're going to increase the price for that. They understand that they are losing money, but that they will make money back with their games and their subscription services. That's the entire business model of virtually every other console. Nintendo, though, does all of that where they still want to get all of your money back from the game and money back, but they want to get all your money from the subscription service, from the games and everything, but also make money on their consoles. Now, I don't know the exact breakdown of this console, but I assume it's the same thing. So I don't know. The price increase just seems a little much when you know they could put it at like a 400 or 350, price point. That's just my thought on it. I wasn't a huge fan of the price increase from the last Switch. I understand that OLED is still 350, but you have to assume with a new console coming out that the old generation Switches are going to be lowered in price at least somewhat. But yeah, so that's or just taken off the market entirely once this launches. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the console itself. Now let's get almost to, I think, huh. Now let's get almost to the bigger controversy here. Here it is. And it is the games themselves, the game prices themselves here. That is the big controversy of kind of the press conference as a whole here. The big one, obviously at the top, with probably the premier title being announced and kind of showcased at the conference and everything, is Mario Kart World, the new gen Mario Kart. It is $80, and that's just for the digital version. I don't think they don't have hmm, they don't have the fucking physical copy prices up here. But the physical copy of Mario Kart World is $90, and the digital version of Mario Kart World is $80. Unless you buy it with a bundle, then it effectively becomes $50, and you're like, oh, you save $30 or whatever, because you get a digital copy for free or for $30 off or whatever, because for the bundle and everything. But the base game itself costs $80. And the only other game, a lot of announcements here, and the only other couple games here, we got a $25 game there, free game there, Fortnite, obviously. The only other game that has a major like price point here, Donkey Kong Bonanza, the kind of co-launch game and like console seller, is $70. So we've set a precedence of not only two pretty big increases here or not pretty big for Donkey Kong, but two price increases on games from the normal $60 kind of AAA game, even for especially for Nintendo. That's kind of towards the high end for a lot of their games historically speaking. But two price increases on games here. And on top of that, there's two price increases that aren't uniform. Like Mario Kart World, obviously a bigger title than Donkey Kong Bonanza, but they're both kind of premier Nintendo Switch games. Like you'd expect them to be priced basically the same, like exactly the same. In most other circumstances, these are two games on two different consoles, they would be priced the same. But there's a $10 differential, not even counting the physical to digital kind of, argument there with the additional $10 hike for physical, which I guess you kind of make sense, but we'll get to physical games in a second here. Kind of explain to you what they're doing with physical copies that's making it a little unsavory in itself. But this is the bullshit that a lot of people kind of had an issue with when it comes to fucking this Nintendo Direct. Mario Kart. So essentially, there's this thing that's been going on in gaming for I don't know, I want to say the past year or something, maybe a little longer, probably really since COVID, I'd imagine, or the aftermath. But price increases on games are something that people have been trying to fight back against and have felt the coming tide for a while here. Of traditionally, for the longest time, the premier titles on consoles, the AAA games here, we're talking $60. That was the kind of creme de la creme, biggest game projects. That's where you're going to set it at for the launch price. Now we've seen games creep up to the $70 mark, whether it be Black Ops 6, whether it be like the Space Marines and like some console games have now become 70 as a part to like they're normally 60 on PC, like Space Marine 2, I believe. So we've seen this creep up to about the $70 mark for these like massive projects from these massive companies like Activision Blizzard or EA. Historically speaking, two unliked and kind of greedier corporations as well. But yeah, so that's that. And on top of everything, it's Nintendo that is really kind of exploring this new fucking frontier. For whatever reason, Nintendo with a fucking Mario Kart game, and no disrespect to Mario, it's the console seller, it's the bundle game, it's the big launch game. But you're telling me this is a bigger title, a bigger budget, a bigger fucking deal than something like college football, than Space Marine 2, than fucking Call of Duty? No, it is not. It's on the Switch. It's a fucking Nintendo game. It's animated. It's no disrespect to Nintendo and their games. They make some fucking banger games, and that's why they probably think they can get away with this, and they probably will get away with this, upon the console launch. But their games do not have any business being 80 or for base edition physical copy 90 fucking dollars. Like that is fucking like that's absurd. And it's more absurd that this fucking Mario Kart and Nintendo bringing this new frontier. People have been trying to fight back against this for the $70 price tag that Donkey Kong Bonanza is at, and that in of itself is a problem. Let alone $80. Nintendo is the first company that for especially a digital copy, just a base game digital copy of a regular game here, has put it at the launch price of $80, just like flat. I'm sure other random titles have, put their games at like $500 or whatever, like in Steam Store or something. But this is like the first time we're seeing a regular game like this being marketed at a starting price of 80 fucking clams. That is like, and it's like, oh, what's the big deal? It's only like a $20 increase from the normal. What is $20 or what's $10 from the new kind of $70 price point a lot of people are putting their games at? The problem is a fucking slippery slope. When you start down this, and we're literally seeing this in real time, the problem is, where's the fucking limit here? Because okay, you have 60 forever. You decide to raise it for whatever fucking reason, even on digital copies where you're not spending as much on the physical CDs and the boxes and shipping and everything. Okay, I guess maybe you can have your fucking you can have your cake and eat it too on that or whatever because of COVID or whatever, and rising production costs and everything. But the issue really is like what $80. What is per se GTA 6, College Football 26, the new Call of Duty? What are these going to cost? Now that Mario Kart of all fucking things has been the first one to test out and kind of test the market on this $80 fucking price point. You're telling me Rockstar? I'm not hating on Rockstar. They're a great company, they make banger games. But you're telling me a company like Rockstar, a company like EA, a company like Activision Blizzard sees this for a lesser game development wise and is saying, yeah, their game is a good $10 more than ours. No, the next Call of Duty, the next College Football 26, the next fucking GTA with GTA 6 coming up here. You're setting a precedent that these price increases are okay. One, and that the new kind of standard ish for like heavy hitter games is $80, but that's for the Switch. That's not for Xbox. That's not for PlayStation. That's not for PC. They're going to go to 90. They're going to go to 100. You're telling me Rockstar sees this and doesn't price GTA 6 at least $90 for the digital edition and probably do $100 physical editions kind of like that just for the base game and probably $100. You know, GTA 6 was the one we all kind of thought was going to essentially usher in this price increase and kind of test the markets with this. And we were kind of understanding of that with the time and the development cost and the budget this game has. But the fact that Nintendo, of all fucking companies, has the gall to come up here and do this is just, I mean, it's very in line with the bad PR that Nintendo has had for a very long time and is well deserved. It's Nintendo's such a frustrating company because they make such great products, they make such great consoles, they make such great games, and they're just banger, generational games. But then they turn around and do shit like this. They have prices increased on their consoles, on their games. They're the first one to introduce an $80 price tag for a standard edition game. God knows, what the deluxe premium, suck my cock edition is going to be. It's probably going to be 150 now or something. We've seen game prices cost over $100 in those specific collector edition cases. But everything, a rising tide lifts all boats. That's also going to increase by $20 now. People, I don't know. It's just everything is getting more expensive for not a very good reason, in my opinion. It doesn't seem like it's a needed increase. It doesn't seem like it's the company or the game that should really be doing this. and it's just they're gonna get away with it because this is the only place you can play Nintendo games. Nintendo makes great games. They've got a loyal cult-like fan base. They're gonna get away with it, and it's gonna give the green light to a lot of other fucking companies to come out in here and do the exact same thing essentially. Which is the real issue here. But the problem is, it's just, I mean, it's really disappointing to see this. I was really excited throughout the entire conference and watching the release and the direct there. It looks like great stuff. It looks like great games and a great console, but at a price point of $450 with games on top of that that are even more expensive, like $80 or $70 for a Switch game, Nintendo games. I'm definitely not going to be pre-ordering this. I'd be very surprised with myself if I bought the console or any of these games on day one or around the launch. This looks like a console. I was excited to buy it. I don't think I'm going to be participating in this generation, or I won't say that, but I won't be participating in the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 here. I don't see myself buying any of these games or these consoles until they kind of come back down to earth price wise. I know it's one man's opinion and one man's contribution, but I'm not going to buy an $80 game. I'm not, especially something like Mario Kart World instead of like GTA 6 or something. I'm not going to participate in that until I literally have to. I'm going to try to fight that as long as I can. And the price for the $450 for the console itself, it looks like a cool console. It looks like an upgrade. I don't know. It just seems bad. It doesn't seem like enough of an upgrade and everything to warrant the 450 price tag. It's more expensive than a fucking Steam Deck, and that serves as a handheld and a gaming computer. It's a bit much. It's more than the fucking Quest 3S, both editions. Or it's just I don't know. It seems a bit much for a Nintendo Switch. I mean, it looks like a great console. These games just look absolutely fantastic, but it just doesn't. It rubs me the wrong way that they're increasing these prices to 70 to 80 to $90 for physical. And even like some of these are remakes, like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is getting upscaled, and word on the street is that it's not going to be like a discounted game like kind of how PlayStation does with like it's buy the $10 upgrade the PlayStation 5 graphics. It's seeming like it's going to be kind of around that $70 price point again for a full launch again, essentially. It did seem like there was going to be some backwards compatibility, like they said, but only a limited amount that they green flag, of course. So that's kind of disappointing that you can't just kind of interchange cartridges and games through console generations there. Another thing I want to talk about is kind of the physical copies. As we kind of stated here, they're more expensive than the digital copies, and you do get the box and everything, but the cartridge itself is changing a little from what it seems like. It seems like no longer do you buy a physical copy and you own it and you get the cartridge or you get the CD for a regular console and that's it. You own the game is yours, you have a physical copy there. That's why a lot of people have kept buying physical copies even to this day when most people switch to digital because the people like to own what they have. But essentially it seems like this cartridge you're buying in these physical editions, even though it's more expensive and it's not just for the box, the cartridge is a part of that and the physical game is a part of that. It doesn't seem like you're buying the game. The cartridge itself is not the game. You don't own the game. You own the right or the idea that you can put that cartridge into your Switch and download the game like from an online link or download source or something. So it's essentially just kind of a cartridge form of like those fucking game like cheat codes that you can implement and like redeem a game essentially just in a cartridge form. That's what it is, it seems like. And that on top of the price increase, you can't even like how do you even justify a $90 price for a physical game where you're not even actually giving them the fucking game? Like you're giving them the right to download the game from the internet is what you're giving them on that cartridge. It's just, again, I've never seen a company like Nintendo just have such a banger of a press conference and just do a complete 180 faster than my eyes could even fucking process when they showed those prices for some of the games here on IGN and everything in the console. It's astounding to me, and the stuff with the physical games just makes no sense. I kind of understood it because it's like, oh, physical costs more if you got the box and shipping and everything, the cartridge or the CD, depending on what your platform is. But Now you're not even giving them the actual game to keep and own. You're giving them the right to download it. It's just it's absurd, and I hope Nintendo doesn't get away with this. I hope people kind of, at least at the beginning of the console generation, kind of put up a protest and don't pre-order, don't buy on day one. But it's Nintendo. It's a new console. It's new games. They're gonna get away with it. Everyone wants the new Mario Kart World. Everyone wants the new Donkey Kong game and the new Switch and Nintendo console. They're gonna get away with it. Maybe my brother or something will buy it. I don't know, but I don't have any plans on buying the console and by extension any of the games really, especially at these price points that they're currently offering. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Pretty disappointing from Nintendo after a fucking fantastic console conference there. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about the price increases on the console and the games, and what you think about the entire Direct as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and my take on it. If you did, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe, and your viewership, of course, is always appreciated. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope to hear from you in the comments.